Welcome back, everybody. We're here for episode 4 of North of the Six. I'm Brad. This is Mike. We're buried in our homes right now as there's been a stay-at-home order put in place in Ontario, but we're here to provide some light and fun entertainment for you and bring some joy to the world.
And happy Masters weekend to those out there. Exciting time of year for golf fans. One positive from, if there's any really to take away from the lockdown, is that golf courses are staying open. So it's at least some outdoor activity to go and enjoy. I picked Rory McIlroy to win the Masters, and he thanks me by shooting a 76 on his opening round today. So not a good start to the Masters for me, gambling-wise.
Well, yes, so gambling-wise not working out for Mike, but going back to the Blue Jays a little bit, they're off to okay start. And the first question we're going to address here is, after an impressive opening series weekend over the New York Yankees from the first weekend in April, Julian Merryweather has 2 saves in 2 innings pitched. He closed out the Yankees twice on April 1st and April 3rd, striking out 5 batters in 2 innings. And the question is Julian Merryweather the future closer of the team?
Speaking of gambling and taking gambles, you remember about 3 years ago, the Jays traded Josh Donaldson for aforementioned Julian Merryweather, and a lot of Jays fans at the time were like, who the heck is this guy? So 27 years old at the time. I don't think it made it above double A before. Had numerous arm problems. And you thought to yourself, like, seriously, this is what they got for the 2015 AL MVP? He's had a long road to the majors. He's finally arrived this year. He's throwing gas. He has electric stuff. But my answer to that is it's too early to tell, and I'm not going to label him the closer right now. Yes, he has electric stuff. He's a converted starter, so he has a good 4-pitch mix. He's topped 100 miles an hour. But to me, it's way too early in the season. Give some batters some time to adjust to him. Let the batters figure out Merryweather a little bit more. And then we'll see maybe in 2-3 months from now what his numbers look like. I
totally disagree with you. I think he is the future closer of this team, and here's why. First of all, he's got electric stuff, as we saw over the weekend. 99-mile-per-hour fastball, 100-mile-per-hour fastball. He struck out the heart of the Yankees lineup on opening day. And, he's been in the league just for a couple years now. I think, yes, he's only had, a dozen or so appearances in the majors. But with that being said, it's going to take time for hitters to adjust to him. How much video do they have in this guy? So I think for the foreseeable future, he's going to be facing teams that have never gone against him before. So with that, I think he's got at least this year of surprising fans throughout the major leagues of the stuff that he can deliver. And with Kirby Yates out of the picture now, I think it's his job and he can run with it.
Well, yeah, you mentioned, it's going to take some time for hitters to adjust to him, and I do agree with that. But we've seen guys before come up in their first year and be really effective, especially relievers. Again, batters don't have a whole lot of information on them. There's not a whole lot of video to draw from. But wait another 3-4 months, wait till next year, the year after that. It's too early to label him the future closer.
Okay, how about the present closer? The present closer.
And I'll call him that right now because the bullpen to me is still thin.
Oh, there you go. And he went against a tough Yankees lineup. What do you think he's going to do against the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox and some of the bottom feeders throughout the league right now, the Oakland Athletics?
Yeah, no, and I like what I've seen so far. But again, it's a couple appearances, so let's give it some time. We're going to focus on the Raptors a little bit. And our next question revolves around the more impressive win. They've had a couple recently. Again, not a whole lot in the last little while. They are slumping. It's a tough time being a Raptors fan right now. Missing players with COVID, missing players with injuries. Kyle Lowry's been out for the last week or so. But the question is, what was the more impressive win? The blowout win against the Golden State Warriors, or Gary Trent Jr.'s buzzer beater, which we haven't seen much of?
It's a tough call because, like you mentioned, the Raptors have been in one of their biggest funks in franchise history. I think they're quickly fading out of the playoff picture quickly, and they did have 2 very entertaining wins, 2 very different type of wins. I'm going to go with the 53-point blowout over the Golden State Warriors. Why? It just shows you what they can do, what they are capable of. I know there was no Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. I get that. The Raptors don't have Kyle Lowry, though. And again, they're a far stretch from that team that they looked like in the 2019 championship run. Pascal Siakam, though, looked like what he's capable of doing. He dropped 36 points. He had 5 rebounds, 7 assists, a couple steals. He can do that on any given night. He's got the potential to do that. And then Gary Trent chips in with 24 points. OG Anunoby had 21 points. And they did that against a team, again, I know without its superstars in the lineup, but a 53-point absolute shredding when they've just been, they could have folded. They could have just said, you know what, we're tanking for a high draft pick, or, we're just not going to play anymore. No, this team cares. Nick Nurse cares. The players on that roster care about winning. Malachi Flynn had 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Like, you can't tell me he doesn't care. He's fighting for minutes next year. I think that was the more impressive victory of the two.
Well, you do know they were basically playing against a G League team, right? I know you mentioned Golden State's missing a few players, but looking at that roster, like Andrew Wiggins was technically their number 1 option that night, and that guy's already washed up at 26 years old. So it was basically a G League team. And again, a nice win by the Raptors. You mentioned Siakam and his potential. Again, we see his potential once in a blue moon these days. You mentioned Malachi Flynn again, fighting for minutes now that Terrence Davis and Matt Thomas are gone. So, the opportunities are there for him a little bit more. But that was basically a G League team they were playing. So I'm going to go with Gary Trent's buzzer beater. We haven't seen many buzzer beaters from the Raptors in recent memory. Again, OG's comes to mind. Kawhi, obviously, the 4 bouncer off the rim. But Gary Trent, the ability to take that rebound the whole length of the floor. There's a slight push off. I think it was more flop than push off. But to just stick that shot while he was kind of on the run off balance and nail it at the buzzer just shows what we might see in the future with the Toronto Raptors.
You know what? I can't deny that. It was exciting, but again, that Wizards team's not very impressive either. I know they have Russell Westbrook on that team, but come on. You think that team?
Yeah, that guy's just a volume shooter scrub at this point.
Yeah, so we'll agree to disagree on this one. However, it was nice to see a couple wins. Hopefully they can finish the season strong. Shifting back to the Blue Jays, it's been an interesting week full of ups and downs, and we've got some takeaways on this one, and I'm going to leave this one to Mike, and we're going to offer our biggest takeaways early in the season.
So last episode we mentioned kind of the pitching staff, the rotation, who's going to be the number 2 behind Ryu. We've talked about that in the past. The biggest takeaway for me right now is the offense and the lack thereof. I know they've put 5 runs up so far tonight, but it's the way they're scoring runs that's concerning me. It's swing for the fences every single pitch. It's poor plate discipline. A lot of strikeouts. We've seen the Jays strike out a ton early on in the season. It's that approach that I'm going to go hit at 500 feet every single time they're at the plate, especially a lot of these young hitters, right? I don't know if that's the new style in the league, swing for the fences every single pitch, but they need to learn how to manufacture runs. And to me, that is kind of on the manager a little bit as well. Charlie Montoyo is a player's manager. He wants the guys to have fun. He's buddies with them. But as long as he's buddy and everyone's having fun, there's going to be a ton of strikeouts. There's going to be a ton of swing and miss, a lot of solo home runs. But if that's the way they need to rely on scoring runs, then I know it's early in the season, but that's a standout and that's a concern for me.
You realize what you just said? You just said, I know it's early in the season. It's early in the season. It is, but it's an alarming trend already happening. And I'm just saying, if it continues, then that offense is going to be in a lot of trouble and the pitching's not going to be able to back it up. Again, it's early in the season. Let's see what adjustments they can make. I'm sure they'll be fine. This team was in the playoffs last year. Mind you, I know it was an expanded playoffs. The guys seem to really like Charlie Montoyo. I know he's made some questionable calls. I agree with you on that. But they play for him. They really like him. The man was nominated for AL Manager of the Year. So, they must be doing something right there. I'm going to go with the big $150 million acquisition, George Springer. Is he going to play? I know he's going to be in the lineup this year, but they were anticipating him to be back this week, and now he has a right quad injury from running the bases. So now I'm hearing oblique, I'm hearing quad, and those are injuries that can take a while to overcome. is this going to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be a bust signing, but are we anticipating one of those seasons in which he only plays 74 games, hits 230 on the DL a couple times? That's my biggest concern, is the injury bug.
Yeah, is he 2 weeks away from being 2 weeks away? We're going to hear that a bunch of times throughout the season. I don't think he's going to be, I don't think we can say bust at all right now. I disagree with that. I think his numbers will still be solid when he does get in the lineup. I think he's going to play anywhere from 120 to 130 games, so I don't see it as a long-term injury. I know he's going to miss the first homestand of the season, so again, that's another 7 games. But I expect him back by the end of the month. I know he'll probably have to do a little bit of rehab because he was pretty much built up for the most part in spring training. But I'm not going to put that bust label at all, or to call it a bad deal or a bad signing at all yet. He just, I know it's one of those fluke things. I hate to say it, but.
Well, I hope you're right, because we've yet to see Robbie Roy, yet to see Nate Pearson, and we just don't want another one of those seasons where, the team had so much potential. They had so much talent.
What could have been, yeah.
Yet they spent so much time on the DL. I don't want to see that. Going back to the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets. If anybody, for the fans out there that follow the NBA, is anybody stopping that team? I've been hearing stories now that analysts are saying this is the most talented team they've ever seen, even surpassing Jordan's 96 Bulls, Steph Curry's 2016 Golden State Warriors. It's in the way I'm looking at the competition right now. If Kevin Durant, he just came back. He had a game where coming off the bench, he was 5 for 5 shooting with 17 points. You put him in there with a healthy Kyrie Irving and a healthy James Harden, as well as Blake Griffin they've picked up. Is anybody stopping them in the East?
No, I don't think so. And you mentioned Kevin Durant coming back. It's good that he's focusing his time more on playing basketball than going on a Twitter war with Michael Rappaport. That didn't end too well for him. But yeah, that lineup's absolutely lethal. And I look at the teams below them again. Philly, some nice pieces, but they're not going to be able to defend that talent in the playoffs. We've shown they're not the greatest defensive team. Ben Simmons, to me, again, marginal defender at best. Joel Embiid can guard the paint pretty well, but there's too many shooters on Brooklyn. There's too much talent. There's going to be too much ball movement. I think James Harden's buying into that system. Look at a team like Milwaukee, losing a guy like Brogdon, right? He was a solid defensive player. The two-headed monster, I guess, if you will, of Middleton and Antetokounmpo, I just don't think they have enough pure talent to go deep in the playoffs. So no, I don't think anyone's touching Brooklyn in the East.
I don't think so either. One team I was maybe, and it's a far cry considering, was the Milwaukee Bucks, because they've gone on deep playoff runs the last few years. But again, my lord, I just don't see how anybody's going to stop this lineup. And you know what? It's sort of maybe not fair, because you look at the talent they've accumulated and the rest of the league's going, what are we supposed to do with this? Right? So I think they're destined to go all the way to the NBA Finals. What they will do in the NBA Finals remains to be seen. But yeah, I don't think anybody's stopping the Brooklyn Nets. I think the only thing that can stop them is the injury bug.
Yeah, and I agree. Or the only thing that maybe stops themselves or hinders themselves is reverting back to some old styles from James Harden. Right? He gets too much shooting happy, and he affects the team that way. But I think there's just too much talent overall. I don't think anyone's really going to threaten them. You look at the East, like the Charlotte Bobcats are 4th in the East right now. Like, what a joke.
Yeah, come on.
Right? That just tells you how weak the East is.
The Atlanta Hawks are up there too. Like, come on. Nobody's challenging them. Well, maybe if the Raptors get in the 8th seed, right? Could they do something? Cinderella miracle, like.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think Malachi Flynn's going to be leading the charge in the playoffs. No, but you mentioned, we mentioned Atlanta. There's some down years from Miami and Boston. They're still going to make the playoffs. But I don't know. I'm not threatened by any of those teams if I'm Brooklyn.
Well, you know what? We'll have to see come playoff time, but you're right. I think the Brooklyn Nets are going all the way. So anyway, everybody, thank you for joining in on this episode. We hope everybody stays safe and take care of yourselves and each other. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, North of the Six. There's going to be many more episodes to come, and hit us up on our social channels.
Yeah, there's many ways to get involved with us, guys. Comment on YouTube, follow us on social media, and again, let's get North of the Six trending.